Hey there, it's Nicole, and today I have a Mother's Day card to share with you. This card has lots of stamps and dies exclusive to Simon Says Stamp, and I'm going to show you how I created the watercolor background as well as colored the title, Mom, using Distress inks in a watercolor type look. The first thing I did is take this large 6x6 stamp from Simon Says Stamp. This is one of their cling rubber stamps, and it's the drawn hearts background. And I am coloring in the hearts using the brush tip of some distress markers. I'm using worn lipstick, spun sugar, and picked raspberry. These three colors are all just varying shades of pinks, and I could have probably made this much quicker and easier had I colored in the hearts maybe horizontally in lines of color, like done the whole top line in spun sugar and the next one in worn lipstick and then the next one in picked raspberry and then repeated that. But I kind of wanted a little bit more of a random look, and so I'm individually coloring in these hearts. It really didn't take all that long. It just was a little bit more work to make sure, because the ink it starts to dry and it's kind of hard to see, just especially if you do the spun sugar first. I probably should have started with my darker colors and then done spun sugar last and filled in all of those little areas that didn't have ink. Once I have all of my hearts colored that I need to cover the front of this watercolor paper from Tim Holtz, I'm going to spritz them 3, 4, or 5 times with a mini mister filled with water, and then press that onto my watercolor paper, and you can see it gives a really pretty soft watercolor type look. So I'm going to clean my stamp and I'll set that aside, clean up any water off my work surface. Then I'm going to take the picked raspberry, which is the darkest of the 3 pink colors, and create a watercolor here on my Ranger craft mat by simply pressing the ink onto the craft mat and then spritzing it with some water to make a watercolor wash. And then I kind of flicked it a couple times over my watercolor paper to add some drops of color, and then I'm taking it and with a fine paintbrush and adding drops of water to some of the darkest hearts on there. What's going to happen is I am going to let this air dry, so I'll set it aside while I work on everything else, but the water will kind of seep in to where I have already stamped it and distort the hearts a little bit more and give it an even more watercolor type look, I think. And it helps define some of those hearts a little bit too. Now I took another sheet of the watercolor paper and die cut the script Mom die that's exclusive to Simon Says Stamp. So I die cut it from watercolor paper and also from the Simon Says Stamp slate cardstock. Then I'm going to take the postage edge frames and I'm going to use the second largest size. Again, these are an exclusive die to Simon Says Stamp. And I'm going to cut that from some vellum. I'm also going to cut the folded banner die. This is one of the original dies, I believe, that Simon Says Stamp came out with when they launched their exclusive stamps and dies. This is still one of my very favorites that I use all the time. I'm cutting that from vellum as well. And I like to use the little bit heavier weight vellum that Simon offers. I think it's a little bit more substantial and holds up a little bit better. It just has a nice weighty feel to it. So I'll move my Big Shot out of the way, and you can see my really messy work area there. And I stamped another heart background using a rainbow color of hearts as well. So I was just playing around with the watercolor look and the distress markers, seeing what I liked. Get all of those little pieces out of the die cut word Mom. Then I'll take the picked raspberry and spun sugar inks and press those onto my craft mat. The spun sugar is a little hard to see since it's so light, but I want there to be a definite variation in color. I'm going to spritz this again with some water. And then I'll press my die cut word. Again, this was die cut from watercolor paper, so it's going to hold up better than just maybe some traditional white cardstock. Make sure I press that into the ink wash really good. And it's still a little bit light, so I'm going to swirl it around a little bit more. I want it to be darker near the bottom edge of the die cut word and lighter near the top. So I'll just kind of keep swirling that around till I get the ink how I like it. I want it to bead up a little bit near the bottom, and then I will again lay that aside to air dry as well. Taking that folded banner that I die cut from vellum, I'm going to stamp one of the greetings from the Mother's Day stamp set from Simon Says Stamp using Versamark ink. And then I will sprinkle on some silver embossing powder from Ranger. This is their silver fine embossing powder. Tap off all the excess there, and I will heat set that. Make sure I have all of it covered really well, and I will heat set it to use on my card. Now that I have all of my elements dried and ready to go, I'm going to use the Zig glue pen to add some dots of glue to the watercolored word Mom, and then carefully offsetting it just slightly so that the die cut slate word acts as a shadow. I'm going to adhere them together, add a little bit of glue to my vellum banner, and I want to attach that to the vellum postage background, the postage edge background. Just use a little bit more adhesive to secure that a little bit. And then take the Zig glue pen again, add some more dots, and adhere the word right above the banner. Now to secure the vellum to the background of my card, I will hide the adhesive back behind all of the other elements. I have a little sprinkling of some pink and silver sequins, as well as I'm going to use a couple of little heart enamel pieces from October Afternoon, just trying to find the right color that I want to use there. And I will secure all of these sequins using the ThermoWeb Bling glue dots. They're little teeny tiny ones. They don't make a mess like a liquid glue will, and I love using them on sequins when I can. So I'll secure all of those like that, add a few gemstones. Here I'm hiding all that adhesive back behind the other elements. Secure this to the front of a card, and it is ready to be sent to my mom for Mother's Day. Thanks for watching this video showcasing some fun watercolor distress ink techniques. All of the supplies are listed below the video on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and check back again soon for more videos.